This is Covering the Spread, part of the FanDuel Podcast Network.
All four NFL Divisional Round matchups are now set after last night's game between the Rams and the Vikings, which means we've got betting odds for all four games to dissect over at FanDuel Sportsbook today. We're going to go game by game through the NFL's Divisional Round, letting you know what my models spread and total predictions say about each game and my best initial bets over at FanDuel Sportsbook. Welcome on into Covering the Spread, a FanDuel Research podcast. My name is JimSannes. I am a managing editor of FanDuel Research, here to break down the NFL Divisional Round. Letting you know where I see value on the initial betting odds on FanDuel Sportsbook for what should be a fantastic weekend of football. We'll dive into all that here in just 1 second, but first, a reminder to make sure you are subscribed to Covering the Spread wherever you get your podcasts. Tomorrow, Dr. Ed Feng will join me breaking down his thoughts on Ohio State versus Notre Dame in the national championship game. We'll also talk some NFL with Ed, and then on Thursday, Megan Payton will join me breaking down her thoughts on the divisional round, best bets there, and then Andy Nader is my guest on Friday, talk some player props for the divisional round as well. To get those shows as they are posted, search for Covering the Spread wherever you get your podcasts. Hit subscribe. And if you like what you hear, leave us a 5-star rating and review as well. And of course, these shows do stream live on our brand new YouTube page. Go there, hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and leave us a thumbs up. We appreciate those of you watching on YouTube as always. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel because right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, same-game parlays, and so much more. Plus, when you win, you'll get paid instantly. Get started with $200 in bonus bets. Make this playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, an affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Now, we'll dig into all four games here in a second, but first, did want to give a heads up that all four overs are showing value in my model for this week. That may be a little bit scared, given that in the wild card round this past week, 5 out of 6 games went under. The one that went over was the Chargers-Texans game, which had some flukiness involved there for sure. There was a pick six. There was a extra point return for a score there as well. So it was not a good showing for overs in the wild card round. So I wanted to look back at my model's history in the playoffs and see, do I overestimate scoring in the playoffs, and should I adjust down when that's the case? So this goes back to 2022. I've had my total model since then. If you look at the games in the playoffs in that time, including this year, they've averaged 47.5 points total scored on average. That's the actual NFL output, 47.5 total points. My model said 46.99 in that time, so I've actually been below where the market is, or below the reality by a half point in that span, again, including last week. So I don't think, based on that I'm over projecting totals in playoff games. Even with going over 3 on totals where my model was off by 2+ points last week, still have a positive ROI on betting totals during the playoffs. So I don't think the model is off directionally. I'm not going to agree with the over in all 4 spots, but I do think that it's reassuring to me that my model traditionally over the past, this is a 32 game sample of playoff games in this time. It hasn't traditionally over projected scoring in those games. So that does give me more faith the model is not totally off, and I can feel better where the model does show value in overs. that is pertinent as we begin things off here with the discussion for the divisional round. That begins on Saturday afternoon with the Chiefs and the Texans right now. FanDuel Sportsbook. Chiefs favored by 7.5, and the total in this game sits at 41.5. I've got the Chiefs favored by 6.5 in this game. That is even with a bump for their bye week. So they get a 0.6 point bump coming off their bye, 0.6 point downgrade for the Texans because they are not rested here. So I've got it a bit closer than the market is at. I do show a bit of value in the Texans money line, not enough value in the spread to take it. Money line is plus 350. Do you want to bet against Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs? I sure don't. So it's a value for me. Not what I'm super enthusiastic about, but it is a value based on where things currently stand with the Texans money line odds being plus 350 as of right now. I do agree here, though, that there is value in the over. 41.5 is currently sitting at minus 112. As mentioned, I've got value in all four overs. This is going to be included in that for sure. And a part of the reason I feel okay about this, despite the fact the Texans offense is good for unders, and so is their defense the way it's playing right now, is how good the Chiefs offense was during the second half of the year. If you look at them, since DeAndre Hopkins joined the team, they've been a very efficient offense, and that did tick up even a bit more once Marquise Brown is in the mix. And you think about it holistically, it's like, okay, they go from Justin Watson and Juju Smith-Schuster as their top pass catchers, and Xavier Worthy too, to now having DeAndre Hopkins, Hollywood Brown, and a better version of Xavier Worthy in a better role than what he was doing before. So the numbers say the Chiefs were more efficient. The data backs that up too, and I think the eye test and logic does as well. Texans may struggle here because the Chiefs defense, okay defense overall, I think a bit worse than perception, but now you got Spags, a full week to game plan. I can see why you'd be a bit skeptical there. The reason I do think there is still value, though, is because they're not asking a whole lot out of the Texans in this game. Their implied total is currently sitting at just 17 points. So we don't need a whole lot out of the Texans to push this game towards the over. So when I look at this number, again, at 41.5, I've got this at 45.3 personally. That's a decently large gap. I did show value in overs for Chiefs games pretty often during the regular season. That did not go very well for me, but I'm still okay with that based on their efficiency, based on, I think their defense is more just okay than anything else. And the Texans did show me something, at least in that second half against the Chargers, a bit more CJ Stroud rushing, unlocking Nico Collins a bit. I think there was enough there to justify feeling good about the over. So the one bet I like in this game right now is the over 41.5 at minus 112. Do show value in the Texans money line, but not super itchy to snag that one either. Second game on Saturday is a really, really fun one between the Commanders and the Lions. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Lions there by 8.5, and the total in this game, 55.5. Similar to the last game, do give a bump up to the Lions here as they come off a bye, and still a bit within where the market is. I've got the Lions favored by 7.8, and it's an 8.5 right now. So value there on the Commanders, a smidge. Not enough where I want to take the spread. I do show value similar here in the Commanders money line. They're at 4-1. That's just a very long number for sure. So again, I don't feel amazing about it because it is asking a lot out of Jaden Daniels. We're getting another week healthier for this Lions defense and another week to game plan around the guys they've actually got available. So I'm not super itchy to go here either, similar to the Texans, but I do show value in the Commanders money line at 4-1. Similar to the other spot, though, I do feel okay about the over in this game personally, in large part because I just expect a lot of points here, and so does my model. I have never projected a total higher than this one right now, 58.3 points, which is astronomically high. And I am very hesitant to be like, oh yeah, let's bet this over. I've got, 2 points above market. Let's ride. Because I have no precedent for how often games go over a high total of 55.5 when my model is where it's at right now. Again, it's the highest total I've ever projected. So there is no precedent to say games go over this mark at a rate of X%. But the Lions have tended to struggle against rushing quarterbacks, and Jaden Daniels is obviously that. I think the Lions are going to shred against this Commanders defense, should be better able to handle the Commanders' interior defensive line than what the Buccaneers were able to do, given how good the Lions' interior is themselves. So it does add up pretty well. And this game is also indoors, so no wind speed to deal with here. So again, it is kind of scary to bet the over on a very high number, 55.5, which is at -108 right now. But it is two electric offenses that can be efficient and pick up yardage in chunks. And it's two defenses that are not great. And also one that is not fully healthy as of right now. So when you add it all together, I actually don't mind over 55.5 and -108, despite the fact that is a truly massive number. For me, this is more of a fun bet than one where I'm like, oh yeah, model says it, we're locked in, good to go. I think that the Chiefs Texans one is more of the like process based. This is a low number, my model shows value, etc. This is more of a fun bet of like, I think this game's going to rule, and I kind of want to root for points the entire 4 quarters. We'll talk about that again later on for Ravens and Bills. But personally, that's enough for me. So I did take the over 55.5, -108 in this game. It is a massive number. I think it deserves to be up there. It is very scary because I have no precedent, but should be a fun game. So let's ride at the over 55.5 at -108. Moving now to Sunday, the first game there is the Rams and the Eagles. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Eagles favored by 5.5, and the total in this game, 43.5. It's a pretty heavy 5.5 for the Eagles. Setting at -115. This was at 6.5 last night. Moved across a semi-key number of 6 to get to 5.5. Still, again, a heavy 5.5 there. I've got it at 5 even. The Eagles favorite here. It's the Rams moving outdoors. That's one concern. The Eagles defense has played phenomenal. I know some injuries there for their defense, but they still got the secondary healthy, which is kind of the key thing for me with this Eagles team is that secondary healthy to help shut down Puka Nacua? And if they are, I'm going to feel pretty okay about not looking towards taking the Rams. I have a tiny bit of value in the Rams money line, but it's not across my threshold. I typically want at least 2 percentage points of value, and I'm not getting that right now. So probably a stay away from me. I'm more inclined to take either the Texans or Commanders than I am take the Rams, just because, again, I trust this Eagles team. Maybe I shouldn't, but I do, especially on defense. So I think that's enough to scare me away there. This is the one game where I show value in the over, but really don't want to take it. I've got this at 48.4, which feels really high, given the Eagles defense, given, again, the Rams moving outdoors, given how much of a boa constrictor this Eagles offense has been recently. I don't really want to take the over here, so I'm not gonna. I don't have to take every spot where my model shows value. I do show value here, 43.5. Over is -110, but I don't got to do it if I don't want to. So personally, this is a stay away from me across all markets. We'll talk about some player props, of course, on Friday. Maybe Megan has a different read about this game on Thursday too. But for me right now, winds up being a stay away because I'm pretty in line with the market as far as the spread goes, with the Eagles being favored by 5 in my model. And I have value in the over, but don't really agree with the model and what it's saying there. So, okay, staying away from this one for now. We'll circle back, see if we can grab some player props on this one later. Let's finish up here by talking about the main event of the divisional round. It is Lamar Jackson versus Josh Allen up in Buffalo. And right now, Ravens are favored. They are -1.5. Their money line is -116. Bills at -102. Total in this game is 51.5. And I was thinking about this game stylistically when we saw the Bills get up against the Broncos. Like, okay, I think stylistically, the Ravens are a bad matchup for the Bills because the Bills, I'm always most skeptical of their defense against really physical teams. I know that they did beat the Lions, but that was kind of a team that was in my mind of like, okay, physical team can bully them around a bit. That's what this Ravens team is with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, and also with Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely in there as well. So I was thinking, okay, if we get the Bills at -2.5 or so, I didn't think there was a chance to take a field goal, but Bills -2.5 somewhere in there. Like, okay, I could definitely buy into the Ravens, maybe grab their money line there. But the market was ahead of me, and it winds up being a situation where I don't show value in the Ravens because I've got the Ravens favored by 0.6 points here. Even that felt kind of disrespectful, honestly, to the Bills, given how good they've been. But it's just how efficient this Ravens offense has been, both passing and rushing. They're going to be favored against, I would bet, every team right now. If I pull up my power rankings, yeah, they would be favored against every team in a neutral field right now. So I get it. I feel weird making the Ravens favorite here, but it does make me feel better that the market is there too. What that winds up being is a stay away from me. I would be okay buying in at some point, but don't expect to see a lot of value here, given that neither team is close to being a value for me right now. So likely a stay away in terms of the spread. With that said, once again, I do feel okay going towards the over here. Over 51.5 is currently a minus 115. My model puts this total at 53.8. And again, it comes down to the physicality we discussed with the Ravens, where I think they'll be able to move the ball pretty efficiently on offense. And even if they do run, they can gain yardage in chunks against this Bills defense. And the Bills offense, yeah, the Ravens defense has been outstanding since the middle part of the year. They moved Kyle Hamilton back to safety, and their defense has been so good ever since that time. But the Bills have dismantled every good defense they faced outside of the Texans and the Ravens during the regular season. Both those games were on the road. They're now back at home. They lit up a Denver Broncos defense that was really good the entire year. And that to me is a good endorsement of this Bills defense and what they could do against this the Bills offense and what they could do against this Ravens defense. So I think that both offenses should be efficient. I think we'll see big gains on both sides here. Ravens defense, despite their improvements, was not able to create an inefficient day out of Russell Wilson this past week. And I don't think they can do so out of Josh Allen either. So to me, if I'm placing a bet on this game, it will be on the over 51.5 minus 115 right now, FanDuel Sportsbook. We'll be talking plenty about props in this game throughout the week. I think that looking at Lamar Jackson rushing again, just based on the way he tends to operate during playoff games right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Lamar rushing 51.5. That is too low in my eyes. So I think that we'll be talking more about that later on this week too. But overall, the over in this game, going to be a fun one for sure. And I'm very okay with diving in there. So the three bets I like for the divisional round, I like Ravens, Bills over 51.5, minus 115. I like any over for Commanders, Lions, 55.5 at minus 105. And for the Texans and Chiefs, over 41.5, minus 112. Showing value on the Commanders and the Commanders and the Texans, but I don't know. It's an okay amount of value. I'm not showing you value in their spread. It's just the money line there. But for me, prefer to just ride at the overs here and have some fun. Look at some player props later on this week as well. That is all that we have here for today on covering the spread. As mentioned, back with you once again tomorrow, talking the national championship game with Dr. Ed Fang, Ohio State versus Notre Dame, seeing where he sees value there, talking some player props for that game as well. And then NFL Best Bets Thursday, NFL Player Props Friday. Again, all those streamed live on our brand new YouTube page. Go there, leave us a thumbs up, turn on notifications, and subscribe to get notified as we go live each and every single time. If you got any questions for me, I'm on both X and Blue Sky at JimSannes. You can find FanDuel Research on X at FanDuel Research. Big thank you to our YouTube producer, Justin Lane, for his work on the video side of things. Thank you, Justin, as always. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. Good luck to you. If you bet anything across this Tuesday, we'll talk to you once again tomorrow to break down our thoughts on the national championship game. This has been Covering the Spread, a FanDuel Research podcast.